You sit down with someone you trust to bring up something that hurt you. You keep your voice steady. You explain exactly what happened, expecting a normal, rational conversation. But before you even finish your first thought, the conversation abruptly derails. The topic instantly shifts away from the original issue, and suddenly you are the one on trial. You find yourself desperately explaining your own memory of the event, defending your tone of voice, or even apologizing for reacting in the first place. This conversational whiplash happens so quickly and so smoothly that most people never register the exact moment they were forced onto the defensive. The strangest part of this dynamic is the vocabulary. Completely unrelated individuals with vastly different backgrounds and personalities will use the exact same words to execute this flip. This pattern is widely known as the gaslighter script. Hearing identical phrasing from entirely different people proves you are encountering a predictable behavioral mechanism rather than a coincidental bad argument. A fragile ego deploys this automatic survival mechanism for one specific purpose: to force you into a defensive posture so they don't have to examine their own behavior. Recognizing these specific phrases as a standardized playbook, rather than internalizing them as personal insults, is the necessary first step to disarming the trap. There are 4 specific phrases that act as conversational kill switches, engineered entirely to terminate accountability. We can see how these function by mapping them on this 4-part matrix. In the first quadrant, we have the phrase, "Everyone agrees with me." This creates an immediate illusion that you are outnumbered, isolating you before you can even articulate your point. The second phrase is, "You're twisting my words." Here, they weaponize their own lack of clarity, using it to blur your reality and make you doubt your own comprehension. The third phrase, "I was just joking, relax." Notice how this functions as a post hoc defense. It is deployed strictly after they observe a negative reaction to the punchline. Finally, the fourth phrase, "You always do this." This escalates a micro moment into an absolute rule, overwhelming you by turning a single conversation into an indictment of your permanent character. While the wording varies, every one of these kill switches achieves the exact same goal, terminating the conversation on their terms. If you look closely at those 4 phrases, they share a glaring structural flaw. Absolutely none of them address the original hurt you brought up. Instead, they act as bait. The phrases are engineered to lure you away from your hurt and into an unwinnable debate, heavily weighted toward what the other person meant or intended to do. The exact second you start arguing against those phrases, explaining why it wasn't a joke, or proving you don't always do something, you are actively performing the exact role the script requires. As long as you stay trapped in a loop debating their hidden intentions, they successfully avoid any accountability for their visible impact. You cannot win an argument against a mechanical script. The only way to win is to step out of the play entirely. There is a precise, tested response that acts as a circuit breaker and ruins the trap. It goes like this. "I'm not saying you meant it that way. I'm telling you how it landed." The first half of that sentence, "I'm not saying you meant it that way," completely neutralizes the bait. It actively refuses to engage in the debate over their internal intentions. The second half, "I'm telling you how it landed," shifts the battleground entirely to impact. It establishes your reaction as a hard, non-negotiable fact, rather than a point up for debate. This response short-circuits the interaction because it leaves them with nothing to push against. It destroys their script by refusing to play the counterpart. The liberating reality of this dynamic is that you do not need the other person to agree with the impact for that impact to be valid. Your only goal in these moments is to stop performing the expected defensive routine that keeps their cycle alive. When you hear those 4 phrases and recognize them as a mechanical playbook, you realize you aren't overreacting to a person. You are simply disarming a script.